Well, we're looking again at the book of Ruth, this little delightful book. This really is a gospel book in the Old Testament. If you've not followed the narrative and been here in recent weeks, this is about a woman from Moab, a nation that was against God, a nation full of idolatry. They did evil things and they hated the people of God. And Elimelech, this man who in the midst of a famine, a drought, took his family to Moab, and his 2 sons married 2 Moabites. The father dies, the 2 sons die, leaving 3 widows. Tragedy, tragedy, tragedy. And yet, out of tragedy and loss, the Lord writes and weaves this beautiful, beautiful plan to bring life and hope and grace out of seeming disaster. And isn't that what the Lord does in individual lives? Isn't that what He alone can do out of difficulty and tragedy? So we come to Ruth 3. This surely is one of the most beautiful chapters in the whole of the Bible. Is there a more beautiful, poetic, astonishing love story than Ruth and Boaz? It's not an easy chapter because there's some things in this chapter which are to do with the ancient culture. And when we read some of these verses, we could get completely the wrong end of the stick. We could think that Ruth was being forward, provocative, flaunting herself, exposing herself, but that's not how we should read it, as we shall try to explain. We look at these things with spiritual eyes and with somewhat of a cultural understanding of the times that they lived in, and with an understanding of God's law for the Jews. And we should look at some of the provisions that were made that she was really understanding through Naomi. Here is Ruth. She's gone to the harvest to provide for her and her mother-in-law to glean in the fields. And during that time, we can imagine, as we read verse 1, Naomi, her mother-in-law, said, "My daughter," she's not her daughter, she's a daughter-in-law, but she treats her like a daughter because they are both believers. They have a shared faith. "My daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee?" She desires the very best for Ruth. And I imagine that during the harvest, the barley harvest, the wheat harvest, I don't know, how long did that go on for? A few weeks, a couple of months, something like that. During that time, Naomi, she's seeing the wheat and the barley come home, and she's seeing the goodness of God to a widow, and she's thinking, what should I do? How can I help my daughter-in-law who's being so kind and looking after me? What can I do? There wasn't just a sudden thought. This wasn't impulsive. This courtship, this marriage isn't just a spur of the moment. This has been carefully thought through by a godly woman who knows the provisions of old that God has given to His people. And she says to her daughter in the faith, "I must seek rest." The word rest means security. She's vulnerable. She's a widow. Young widows were very badly exploited. And Naomi is concerned that Ruth should be protected morally, physically, and so she's got to think, what can we do for her? And it says that the time of the harvest was over. It seems like she knows Boaz's every step here at the end of verse 2. He's threshing the barley. They would have thrown it up in the air and the chaff and the dust would blow away. Even this man who was so wealthy He's involved in the harvest, and he, tonight, she seems to know. She's been thinking this through. She's following every step of Boaz. Tonight, he's in the threshing floor. There's a big pile of grain, and he's knocking it and preparing it and taking the wheat from the chaff. Now, who's Boaz? Christ. What does our Lord do? Does he not take the harvest and he shakes it and he gets rid of the chaff, the dust? The Lord uses the same picture. I'm not stretching the point. And he winnows the finest of the wheat. He's sorting out the wheat from the chaff, the sheep from the goats, whatever picture you need. And that's what Boaz is doing that night. So she begins to think. And she suggests that Ruth should go to Boaz that night. Why that night? Well, I have to try and read between the lines. Boaz would be alone. Remember, this is the time of the judges. The time of the judges was lawless. If there was a big pile of wheat in a barn, it was vulnerable. So the Lord of the harvest would protect his wheat, his barley, and he was there threshing it and guarding it. She knew he would be alone. That's significant. Ruth has been spending time with Boaz. She's been watching him. This is no fast online dating. This isn't one romance to another, to another, to another. This is godly. This is pious. This has been carefully thought through. And young people, we've got young people here tonight. One day I trust there will be many marriages from people here tonight. When it comes to courtship, you learn the lessons from this chapter. This is no speed dating. This is no provocative show of flesh. This is Naomi saying, you go. You've observed him. You've watched him from afar. You know his character. You've looked within. You've not looked at the outside and the appearance. You've been drawn to him. No doubt she wondered whether Boaz was drawn to Ruth. And so she says, go, go. Isn't it far better to gauge a person within a group when their eyes are not on you? When people are alone, of course, they put on a mask. They act up. They give the best. They say the kindest words. But when they're in a group, the guard is a bit more down. That's a good time to observe. You have to be very careful when you're alone with each other. It needs to be very guarded and protected and very intentional. And that's what we see here. So this is no fast romance at all. So she says, shall I not seek rest, security for you? There's going to be a marriage. This is going to be a godly union. They're going to come together and they're going to be married. And out of this marriage is Christ, David and David's greater son. The word security here, it's the same word in chapter 1 and verse 9. The Lord grant that ye may find rest. It was said back then, when Naomi thought that the two daughters-in-law were going to run away back to Moab. But no, Ruth was not for turning. And so we see the same word here. I seek security, protection for you. So let's move on. Boaz, verse 2. Is he not our kindred? He's a relative. And that term relative, it's the word goel in the Hebrew. The word is in our hymn that we've just sung. Kinsman-Redeemer. Jesus, our surety, our safety, our security, our kinsman-redeemer. Round us the robe of his righteousness flings. The hymn writer had Ruth chapter 3 in mind when that hymn was written. Boaz, is he not our relative? You've been with his people, you've been with his maidens, you've watched him, you've been in a group, you've been looking at his conduct. Behold, tonight he's in the threshing floor. Now we need to look at what these ancient provisions were. I want you to turn to Leviticus and chapter 25. This is important. You cannot understand Ruth unless you understand some of the provisions in Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. We look at them very quickly, but they're colourful. They speak of Christ, so we must look at them, and they refer to Boaz and what he's going to be to Ruth. Leviticus 25:25. If thy brother be waxen poor, and hath sold away some of his possessions. Can I colour it up? He's gone to the pawnbroker. He's got poor. He needed to raise money. He's borrowed against his own possessions. And if any of his kin come to redeem it, then shall he redeem that which his brother sold. He'll pay the debt off and get the possessions back. Look down to verse 48, same chapter. It says, perhaps we read the verse before, and if a sojourner, verse 47, Leviticus 25, if a sojourner or stranger wax rich by thee, and thy brother that dwelleth him by him wax poor, and sell himself. This time his possession is himself. He's become a slave. He's been sold into slavery. Unto the stranger or sojourner by thee, or to the stock of the stranger's family, and after that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. There is a redeemer for your possessions. There is a redeemer for you if you're sold into slavery. Do you see this is building? The Kinsman-Redeemer is going to fulfill these functions. Numbers chapter 35. It's a warm evening. Turning to a few references will help us. Try to follow it if you can. Numbers 35. This is a bit different again. This is speaking about a murder, a murderer, and a murder. The revenger of blood himself shall avenge the murderer, slay the murderer. When he meeteth him, he shall slay him. There was a provision. If you went and murdered one of your brothers, somebody went to murder your brother, you had the right to avenge that blood. There was no civic judicial system in those days. It was the national laws of Israel that govern what they did. So there is a provision. A life for a life. Christ became the life for my life. He became the one that brought me out of slavery. He became the one that restored my life when I was sold into sin. One more verse, Deuteronomy and 25. We take these thoughts and these principles and then we apply them to Ruth. Deuteronomy 25, we have to read a slightly longer reading from verse 5. If brethren dwell together and one of them die and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry an outsider, a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her and take her to him to wife. This is very relevant to Ruth and Boaz. And perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother, which is dead, that his name shall not be put out of Israel. Verse 7, if the man like not to take his brother's wife's name and her, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders, the rulers, and say, my husband's brother refuses to raise up unto his brother a name. in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother, and so on. Verse 10, and his name shall be called in Israel, the house of him that hath his shoe loosed. So we come to Ruth. What is a kinsman-redeemer? The kinsman-redeemer is going to give dignity again to Ruth. She's going to have her debts repaid. Elimelech sold a piece of land and his possessions. It's as though she's in slavery. She's going to be bought out. It's as though the family name has been lost because there's no children. And there's going to be children. There's going to be the good name kept. And so Boaz, he is our relative. This is what Naomi is thinking. This isn't just some fling. This is a provision of God for a godly union. My title, which I haven't given you tonight, is A Marriage Made in Heaven. This was a match made in heaven, a marriage made in heaven, a union that was conceived before creation. How do I know that? Because Christ was promised before the foundation of the earth. He, the Father, the Spirit, they agreed in unity, triune Jehovah. And he would come, and his line was already known. That's why Matthew goes painstakingly, and Luke through all the generations, because the line is so crucial. And Boaz will be mentioned in that line. So he is our relative. I haven't got beyond that. Verse 3, let's go on. She is told, wash, put your best dress on, anoint yourself, make yourself fragrant. Is this to pander to the flesh? No. She's to go as a bride to the bridegroom. She is the bride. She's coming to the chosen bridegroom. She is to go and to be appealing. She is to make herself attractive. He won't be attracted to the flesh. He will be attractive to his calling, to be the kinsman-redeemer, his duty, his obligation. Go, put thy raiment upon thee, get down to the floor. But, this is important, make not thyself known unto the man. Don't just rush in. He's a busy man. He's working all day threshing the wheat. He will need to eat in the evening. He'll be distracted because he'll be tired. He needs some nourishment. Don't think, verse 3, wait until he's drunk. That would be quite wrong. Boaz is a godly man. There's no suggestion of excess. No, wait until he's replenished his fluids and his sustenance. Wait till he's... Don't make a show of yourself. That applies to us in courtship as well. Don't make a scene. Be thoughtful. Be circumspect. Have some discretion. Go in with thought. Go and do what I instruct you to do. Now, verse 4, this is the bit that's misunderstood. And it shall be when he lieth down that thou shalt mark the place. Let's just imagine there's a big pile of grain, and he's going to go to sleep on one side. Apparently the custom in those days, the men would sleep in their clothes. They would have something to cover them, and they would cover their feet, take their shoes off. That was the part of their body that was exposed. So he would be covered with something on his feet, and she was to go in and uncover his feet. What does that mean? Submission. Submission. Go as a humble servant, put yourself beneath his feet, and be obedient to his instructions. He will know his obligations. He knows all about you. He's been watching you, observing you. Go and lay down at his feet. He will tell you what to do. It's all so clear, so beautiful, so ordered. Courtship shouldn't just be random. Oh, I met somebody, I saw them online, I've never met them before in the flesh. I've looked at their profile. You know my thoughts about this. For believers, be very careful, circumspect. Much better to see somebody, to know them, to know their reputation. His reputation is a godly man, a characterful, godly man. Verse 5. And she said unto her, Naomi to Ruth, all that thou sayest unto me, I will do. Ruth is speaking. And so she goes down to the floor, verse 6, and she does exactly as she's told. This is a submissive woman who wants the will of God. She's taken counsel from a godly woman, Naomi, who knows the customs of the day, knows what her daughter-in-law should do. And she went down to the floor. She did exactly what the mother-in-law bade her. When Boaz had eaten, she waits and waits and waits to the right time until he's glad and he's not dehydrated and hyperglycemic. He went down to lie at the end of the heap of corn, and she came softly. She waits. She doesn't want to rush in. She wants to go carefully. He's asleep. He's shattered. He's been working so hard. And she uncovers his feet. When he wakes up, he's going to realize his feet are uncovered. And he's going to realize that she did it. Verse 8, it came to pass midnight. It's pitch black. I'm just amplifying the narrative because really the verses are our notes. It just flows through. And he gets up, he's startled. Is it one of those thieves? And he turned and he was afraid and he sees her. He doesn't see her. It's pitch black. He knows somebody's there. He can hear something, but who is it? Verse 9, who are you? And she answered, I'm Ruth. I'm your servant, your handmaid. I've come to listen. I've come to obey. I've come to put myself at your feet. Spread therefore the skirt over thine handmaid. And this is a rich, rich term. To cover a person with a skirt, it means something much more than just the garment. To spread the corner of your garment over me means to put you under the protection, under the shadow of my wing. Literally, Ezekiel, we might turn to that. It explains this term very helpfully. Ezekiel 16 and verse 8, you see it beautifully here. Ezekiel 16 and verse 8, the same concept is used. And it says this, now when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, thy time was the time of love, and I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. This is the Lord speaking to his covenant people. And he says, I saw you, you were unclothed. You were exposed. Thy time was the time of love. I was coming, I was drawing near. And I covered your nakedness. Yea, I swear unto thee, and entered into a covenant, a contract, an agreement, a promise with thee, saith the Lord God, and thou becamest mine. That's what the Lord did to every believer here tonight. He saw my nakedness. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was exposed by my sin, you covered my sin with the garments of righteousness. The Lord drew near. He knew. that he was to die for me. He did die for me, and then in time he called me and he covered me because of covenant love. And so what we see back here in Ruth chapter 3, to spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, she was saying to Boaz, I'm vulnerable. I need a covering. And you, Boaz, my Christ, you be my covering. I'm just a humble servant. I'm at your feet. I've waited. I've come with discretion. Be my kinsman-redeemer. Cover me. And so verse 10, we see the response. He said, Blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter. She's not just a farm girl. She's not just there to glean the wheat and be one of the maidens. She's of the Lord. She's his daughter. Now I think, and the commentators tell us, that there's probably quite an age range between Boaz and Ruth. He refers to the young men. They didn't touch thee. You didn't look at the young men. He replies to her as my daughter. It seems to imply there's a generation between them. Maybe Boaz hadn't even contemplated that she would have any interest in him. But he says, you've shown more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning. You were kind to start with. But look at you now. I've been hearing reports. Naomi's been watching Boaz. He doesn't know that. Boaz has been watching Ruth. He's been hearing the reports. Inasmuch as thou followest not the young men, whether they were rich or poor. Now, my daughter, fear not. He's going to cover her. He's going to care for her. But there's a snag. There's a problem. He knows that there is another relative. And this relative is a closer relative. So that relative must be consulted first. That relative has the obligation number one. Boaz is number two. Boaz wants to follow an orderly process. He's not clinching the deal. He's waiting on the Lord. So Boaz's response, it shows a great deal of thought. He praises Ruth for her loyalty, faithfulness, kindness, integrity, what qualities he sees in her. Ruth has proved herself. Boaz has proved himself. He didn't force himself on her. And so he says, I will do all that you request. What kindness he's going to show. But he does say, don't go and tell. Wait, wait. Wait on the Lord. Be patient. The people in the town have heard about you, he tells her. But you wait. Wait on the Lord. We've got to follow due process. So verse 12, here's the potential problem. I am thy near kinsman, but there is somebody nearer than I am. Wait this night. He's going to follow due process. If he doesn't want to carry out his duty, I'm there. I underwrite your security. I'm going to go and speak to him. And so she lays at his feet until the morning. She's got to wait. I don't think she'd have slept a wink. She'd have been thinking, I love Boaz. I desire him, but I know I can't have him until it's the Lord's will, and the Lord's will is made plain and made known. She lay at his feet until the morning. Verse 14, she rose up before one could know another. Nothing unseemly. Nobody is to know that she's gone and spoke to him. This has been a secret meeting, perfectly decent. And he said, let it not be known that a woman came to the floor. Verse 15, bring the veil. He can't send her away empty. I don't think it means 6 ephahs of barley. A veil could not fit that much, but it's 6 measures of barley. The Jews have a tradition, it's a lovely one, which is that the 6 measures, they represent 6 pious men who come in the family line of Boaz. They say David, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, and Messiah. Messiah. Isn't that lovely? It's only a thought, but it seems to fit very nicely. So he gets a gift. He can't send her away empty. He couldn't give her chocolates, couldn't give her roses. He gives her all he had, the finest of the wheat, threshed on the floor by his own hand. He gives her a choice gift, something that was useful, not chocolates that would melt, but wheat that would be for her mother-in-law. And there she goes. Verse 16, we finish in these verses. When she came to her mother-in-law, she said, "Who art thou, my daughter?" She told her everything. Of course she did. "Oh, you sent me. I did just what you told me to do. I followed the instructions. He was so kind. He did jump out of his skin a little bit, but he told me to wait. He told me to go before the sun rose. He wanted to do everything decently and in order." She told her all that the man had done to her. Verse 16. "And look, he brought me and gave me a gift, and here it is for you. He said, don't go empty away. Take this." And then we finish with this. This is a verse that's been preached on many times. Just 2 words. Sit still. Then said she, "Sit still." How often we need to sit still. We can be so impatient. I want it now. I want to get married now. I want to move house now. I want a girlfriend now, a boyfriend now. I want this now. I want to become a church member now. I want to get baptized now. I want to do this, that, the other. Sit still, my daughter, until thou know how the matter will fall. If you're a believer in God tonight, I trust you are, would you not trust the kindness, the wisdom, the sovereignty of God? Do you know better than him? Ruth, stop walking around the room. Sit still, my daughter, until thou know how the matter will fall. We've come so far. The Lord has provided every step of the way. You've just got hours to wait, for the man he's not going to sit down. Boaz needs to settle the matter until he have finished the thing next week. No, this day. You've only got to wait this day, before sunset. Sit still. Trust in the Lord. Sometimes people say, oh, just trust, just trust. And I know it sounds trite, but she's told in a slightly different way. Sit still. Quieten your heart. Put those thoughts to one side. They only cause your mind to be up and down. Sit still. Rest on the Lord. I said to you at the beginning of the chapter, says Naomi, I want to seek rest, and rest is near. Sit still. Don't be anxious. Remember, anxiety is a sin. We don't think of it like that, do we? I'm going to cover that in a few weeks' time. Be anxious for nothing. Anxiety is sin. Sit still, Ruth. Wait on the Lord. In his due time, the matter will mature. Thou know how the matter will fall. It's not going to fall. It's already been settled in heaven. It's purely the timing in which it will unfold. What faith we can have in God. Is there any reason to doubt? You may have an appointment, you may have some physical problem. The Lord will ensure that it falls his way, in his time, for his purposes. And the outcome will be far better than you've ever imagined. Has the Lord let you down once? Not me. Every believer can say, all the way my Saviour leadeth. What have I to want beside? We can say, how good is the God we adore. And so Ruth sits down, and you have to wait till next week to see how it settles. Let's close tonight singing our final hymn, a hymn of trust and patience in the sovereignty of God. What an appropriate hymn. I believe this man had a particular trouble, Joseph Parker. He was a minister in London, a dramatic, theatrical man, but he wrote this wonderful hymn. God holds the key of all unknown, and I am glad. If other hands should hold the key, or if he trusted it to me, I might be sad. We can think of those in Iran tonight who are troubled, in Ukraine, and any other particular matter. God holds the key of all unknown. 752.